Quiet. But let's do a little singing and smoke. Fair play. Fair play. Feel great.
So am I to understand that you men completed your training on your own?
That's the fact, Jack.
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
What are you, a fucking weatherman now?
You didn't say that again.
Hello, welcome to Steelers Sanctuary. I played the wrong intro. I spent all that time making it, and bang, didn't get it done. I could play it again, but I don't want to waste another second. That's too much to talk about. I'm joined tonight by David Korab, Trent Ging. You'll notice that Dave is not here with us tonight. He's taking the night off, so there will be no hashtag Dave Hates today, except for Dave Hates spending a Thursday night when he's off on the show. So, how you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
Wonderful. Excited about all this off-season Steelers news, OTAs. Terry Bradshaw went crazy. But first of all, we got to talk about the rumor of the day. Looks like there is some serious heat to this Jonnu Smith rumor that the Steelers are interested in trading for Smith. Just what we needed, a ninth tight end on the roster. We were joking about this the other day. How many tight ends can they fit on this roster? So, Trent, what do you think?
He had a really nice year last year, to be fair. I mean, he had a really nice year last year, but in the Miami offense, that's spreading the ball out. And obviously, I think he took a little bit of advantage of the fact that Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle were going to draw a ton of attention. He had couple pretty good seasons with Arthur Smith in the past, both with Tennessee and Atlanta. But I'm not sure I'm giving up a ton of compensation for a guy who's going to be tight end 2 on our team. So I think that's something that has to be taken into consideration when you look at a trade like this. I don't personally think he's better than Pat Freiermuth. I mean, blocking wise, they're kind of a wash. Is he a better receiving tight end? I mean, he's probably more athletic, but doesn't have as solid as hands, in my opinion. So, like, I wouldn't give up a ton of compensation for him. I'd maybe give up a 5th at the highest if it was me. What do you guys think?
What do you think, David?
So this just hit me about 5-10 minutes ago. So I'm looking at grades, I'm looking at stats and stuff, and technically Jonnu Smith had a better year than Pat Freiermuth. Had 800-something yards receiving, had 8 touchdowns. So Freiermuth 600-something receiving and 7 touchdowns. Grade-wise, Jonnu Smith graded out at a 78.2 to Pat Freiermuth 68.4. Receiving grade, this is the one that really gave me pause. Jonnu Smith graded out at 84.0 to Pat Freiermuth 71.9. So here's my question. And I'm not trying to do a hot take here at all. And Zach, I love you. Please don't get mad at me. Is this a adding one to trade the other to get a wide receiver? It sounds crazy, right? Like I think they'd rather roll with 2. Like I think they would rather roll with 2 tight ends, obviously. But in a way, I'm kind of like, if they think that Jonnu Smith could be the guy, could they be trying to trade Freiermuth, maybe get rid of that contract, get out from under it, plus acquire a wide receiver as well?
I don't know if it's in lieu of a wide receiver with Jonnu Smith, but I wouldn't put anything past. I was joking in the chat today. That's 13 personnel right there. I mean, it seems like
yeah.
You got DK Metcalf, who we know is a pretty good blocker. And now you've got Darnell Washington, Jonnu Smith, and Pat Freiermuth. I thought the interesting thing, you brought up the receiving grade. Jonnu Smith somehow is a worse blocker than Pat Freiermuth. I don't know that I love the idea of that, but at least last year, he was graded below Pat. You know, the idea of if it's 2 tight ends and you're running a 2 tight end passing offense, which I think you have to have Aaron Rodgers, who is the only guy with the guts to throw it over the middle, despite Mike Tomlin screaming in his ear, don't do it. That's where you could take advantage of Jonnu and Pat. And personally, I think it could lead to a huge breakout year for Pat if they ran that a lot. But I don't know how they would do it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I'm not trying to make this a hot take. I'm really not. I just think it's strange. You have so many tight ends already. Why?
Do we though? I mean, do we have a lot?
Yeah, I mean,
Donald Parham is a guy who's been cut multiple times. Like he's not really been actively rostered a lot. I mean, Connor Hayward, I kind of thought he was going to get cut last year. He's a core special teams guy. He had 20 targets all of last year total, I think, for Connor Hayward. You basically it's Darnell Washington, who we all know this guy is not a route runner. He's the check down guy who you want to run over people at 300 pounds. For some reason, he's catching passes. And it's Freiermuth. And I mean, I think the interesting thing to me is that you can split Freiermuth out, even though he's less athletic than Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith plays on the end line almost exclusively. Yeah. He's done it his entire career. And if he's a worse blocker and he's older, why would you do a 1-for-1 trade for Pat Freiermuth? Now, I did think, in all seriousness, Dave, to what your point is like there's got to be a tight end going back to Miami in this scenario somehow.
Something.
I actually went to are we really going to be dumb enough to send Darnell Washington back to Miami as a blocking tight end that maybe they see potential in based on his combine?
Let's hope not.
I think that'd be a terrible idea, but I mean, that's where my mind went, is they've got to be sending a tight end back. Or, I mean, this guy already, what was he getting paid? $4.85 million, and he wants a raise? Like, you cannot pay two tight ends that kind of money. There's no way.
And he's 30. I mean,
right.
At least Muth is just starting his second contract. And frankly, probably 3 years from now, there's more upside with Muth, obviously. Smith, maybe if you're going all in and you can get him for 1 year, or maybe you pay him a little more because you have to spend the cap money. Okay, maybe you spend a little more, maybe give him a short 2-year deal with Aaron Rodgers. Okay, maybe. But if it involves getting rid of Darnell Washington, I hate that idea. I don't think they've used him enough in the passing game, and I think Aaron Rodgers will exploit him in the red zone. I think Mason Rudolph would try to exploit him. I think Will Howard would recognize that he's on the field and bounce the ball to him like he will every other pass. But that being said, if Will Howard's our quarterback, I will hope they legalize the bounce pass because, I rooted for Cordell Stewart when he threw it 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's why I'm posing this question, guys. Like, it's just strange to me. Like, it seemed like you've got 4 tight ends on the roster. Why in the world you need to go trade for another one? It's just puzzling to me. So I feel like someone's going somewhere. There's some kind of ulterior motive here to go for some reason to go get another tight end. So when I just look at the stats and I look at the grades, technically he did better than Pat. That's what makes me wonder if that's what it is. It's a contract thing that they would try to get away from. I don't know. I don't get it. Washington, I would hate that idea too. I think they're crazy if they do something like that.
Friend of the program, Zach Smith, brings up a good point here. Rosenhaus is his agent. Maybe he is trying to get a contract.
Yeah.
I feel like the Parham would be the only trade possible tight end in the scenario, and he's not very good. He's a receiving threat, very similar to what Jonnu Smith is. You would have to have a lot of interest if you're Miami and a guy like that in order to make this deal, because the Steelers love Pat Freiermuth. I just do not see that being a scenario. Again, the age gap between him and Jonnu Smith has got to be a big factor in this entire thing. So, they would not have paid him and then shipped him out the door the very next season.
Yeah, you'd think, right?
Do you guys agree with Relic here? I mean, I don't think, personally, I don't agree here. I don't think it's a slap in the face to Muth because, Gronkowski and Hernandez, I think, sorry to bring up Aaron Hernandez, but I think you can have 2 really good receiving tight ends and make it work.
Oh, I agree.
So I think if Muth is your 1 and he's your 2, and now you're now playing where I've got 2 tight ends in the pattern who are real receiving threats. I've got DK streaking down the sideline. Now all of a sudden, if I do have to play Calvin Austin as my other receiver in 12 personnel, Now I can run Calvin Austin underneath on a crossing route, and if I hit him in stride, he might go 30 yards.
Yeah, another thing too to factor into this is that Jonnu Smith, it's not like this production has been consistent. He had 500-something yards the year before that, and then finally eclipsed, 750 plus yards this past season. So I don't know, man. I don't like the idea of it. It's just, it feels like to me something else is cooking here. There's one chess piece being moved to, or being taken in to move another or something. Like that's what it feels like with this. It just doesn't. It's just puzzling to me. That's all.
I'll say this too. If you're going back to what Bob just said, Hernandez and Gronk worked because Gronk was an exceptional blocking tight end and a receiving threat.
Right.
You cannot have two guys in a 12 personnel that neither of them can freaking block anything.
Right.
I mean, you could line up goddamn Calvin Austin on the edge, and that dude's somehow going to break a freaking block and get in there and make a tackle at 140 pounds. Like, neither of those guys can block. You can't. I don't see how that would work against any team in the AFC North, especially, but really probably any team in general. If one of those two was a really, really solid blocker, and I kind of stuck up for Pat a little bit on the last show that we were on Monday, and he did improve. I thought he improved a lot, but two poor blocking tight ends, like I don't know how you make that work.
I think you could almost get away from it from a subterfuge standpoint. Like, hey, we've got them both on the field. Well, they have to be passing because there's no way they're doing a running play with those two on the field. So maybe you could get away with a couple of cheap ones. And
yeah,
if you guys have ever seen that movie Unnecessary Roughness, where they put the backup quarterback with the glasses in, maybe that's what they'll be doing. And say, I don't care what you do, entertain him, spit in his ear, hold his hand. Do something. Just keep him off of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
it's just strange. So.
It's a weird thing. I mean, the clear need is wide receiver 2, not tight end 2.
Yes.
And so it's weird from that standpoint. I mean, if they feel like he's an upgrade over Darnell Washington and they feel like they're going to get him on the cheap as a 1-year rental, that's great. But the dude's already arguing about a contract. Do you really think he's coming here for cheap? Like, I just don't understand kind of from the money perspective how it makes much sense.
That could be their threat. Like, hey, you want more money? We'll trade you to Pittsburgh. Good luck getting paid from them.
Well, another reason why they might trade another player to be help with the picks in the draft next year too. Like, it's another thing I factor into this too. But I don't know
what you would really get for him. I was telling the guys earlier, I had a Miami fan reach out to me and say, hey, is there any truth to this rumor? And I was like, it sounds like, because Nick Farabaugh reported there is some, there's some truth to it. And he suggested that, well, they probably want a player back. And, they're thin at corner, maybe Joey Porter. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, Joey Porter for Jonnu Smith? Are you nuts?
Feels very much like the Chris Olave rumors. Like, it's an introductory call where they're just feeling out the waters and like, can we get this guy at the right price to make our team better, even if he's a 1-year rental? I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. And a lot of the times there's not a lot of football going on. OTAs is kind of boring. Like, the rumors are going to continue to swirl around until we get into serious football.
Yeah. I see Relics trying to provoke me. We will get to my man Broderick when we talk about OTAs in a little while. But yeah, it's way too early to be talking about Broderick being a bum. So I don't know, and we put it up here that we're going to react to this. I don't know how many of you caught Terry Bradshaw's rant on Arkansas of all place radio, but he had some interesting things to say about Aaron Rodgers. He was less than complimentary and suggested that maybe he should go eat some tree bark and stay in California rather than come to Pittsburgh. The little old man yelling at the sky to me. I love Terry Bradshaw. What do we think? Does Terry have a point here, David?
In a way, yes. Like, I think that in the past we would not have waited this long for a quarterback, and I think that's the point he's trying to make. We already know he's not a fan of Tomlin, so I'm not surprised that some of the things he would say. So I think he has a point in the fact that waiting this long for a quarterback. But I go back to they screwed up with the whole Justin Fields thing, and that's why they got put in this situation where their best chance is to wait for Aaron Rodgers. That's their best chance if they're really trying to win. So I get what he's saying, but at the same time, this is the only shot they got if they're going to actually have to try to make a run this year. So it is what it is.
Yeah. What do you think, Tread?
I mean, I think he's not entirely wrong. I think for me, there's a lot of people kind of blowing off like OTAs because it's 6 practices or whatever. Mini camps, not many practices, but like this is so many guys have already left in the receiver core. You have brand new running back room outside of Jalen Warren, essentially. You have an offensive line that's shuffling around with Broderick James moving to left. You got Falatoni coming back to the right. And Aaron Rodgers, assuming he's going to be here, because it just seems like he's still going to be here at the end of the day, why would you not want to come in here and like be in total command of all this? Like, so I think that there's a lot of things that are getting blown out of proportion from both sides of this argument. Like the fan base is like, they don't want him here anymore because it's OTA's already here. He's missing this and that. To me, that's not even what it is. It's about building a connection with your teammates. He and Arthur Smith could already be starting to work on the playbook because Aaron Rodgers is going to want to change, especially in the passing game, this playbook of Arthur Smith. Why would you not want to start putting these things into effect so when we get into actual camp, like you can be rolling this stuff out from day one? Like, I think those two should be meeting. They should be having conversations about what Aaron likes to do, what Arthur likes to call, like how they like the game to flow. And from a receiver standpoint, actually Alan Saunders and I, Zach, sorry, buddy, I'm going to throw your boy under the bus a little bit because we kind of had a little back and forth. Like, he's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, TK's not there anyway. They're working outside. It was one time. They threw them one time together. Like, you build an entire connection in one freaking session? Like, no. You need to get these guys in here and have them start building this connection. And every quarterback's a little bit different. Every time there's a 10-yard out route on the playbook, doesn't mean the quarterback wants it to be 10 yards in an out route. Does he want to arc the out? Does he want you to hit a sharp out? Do you want to run and decelerate and then hit the out? Like, every quarterback likes you to run that route a little differently. Mm-hmm. Would Aaron Rodgers not want them to be working through these receivers and explaining to guys like Calvin Austin, to guys like Roman Wilson? And DK's been in the league long enough, like he'll adapt. But like some of the other guys within this system, I think you would want to have that kind of a conversation if you're Aaron Rodgers. And I think from my perspective, that's the type of chemistry I wanted him to start working on, not wait and sit back and say, I don't need to be here for this. I don't need to be here for that. And like, we'll figure it out when camp comes around.
I mean, to me, I don't think you're putting in, I get your point. I do. I don't think you're putting in a lot in the OTAs. And if you are, although you change quarterbacks like you change shirts at this point if you're the Steelers. So I don't know that Aaron Rodgers showing up to OTA, which he rarely showed up to OTAs anyway with other teams. I don't think that's a big deal. Now, if he's not in mandatory minicamp in 2 weeks, that becomes more of a big deal to me. But, I'm just going to throw it back to Brett Favre when he signed with Minnesota. After he left the Jets, he waited till August 19th. Training camp was basically over. They were in the halfway through the preseason, and he comes in. He throws for 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Goes to the NFC Championship game. Maybe has one of his best seasons. Certainly one of the best seasons in the latter half of his career. So, do I think Aaron Rodgers can do that? Yeah. Do I think Arthur Smith's offense is so complicated he can't pick it up? Fuck no. But I get your point that Aaron Rodgers is going to want to change things. I don't think Arthur Smith has a whole lot to say about that. If Aaron Rodgers walks on the field, he's going to be like, okay, what's the pattern? Okay, we're doing what? Okay, got it. Hey, Austin, fuck that, run this. And then he's going to throw him the ball. kind of like Ben did his last year with, okay, Matt, yeah, I'll run your stupid shit. Okay, first half's over. We're losing. All right, third quarter starts. I'm doing my own thing, and whatever happens, happens. So, I I don't really care too much about the OTAs. I do see the point. I will care a lot more mandatory minicamp, but honestly, I mean, he's a 41-year-old quarterback. DK Metcalf's $150 million wide receiver. Pat Fryermuth's getting paid a boatload of money. You can't fucking figure out the hand signals in training camp. What the hell are we paying you for?
Relic, can we get an open mic on Aaron saying, fuck this, run that?
Let's only hope Hard Knocks shows up.
Oh, man.
The real question is how long does it take Mike Tomlin to blow a gasket on the sideline when Aaron starts running his own shit?
Well, that's the appeal of having Aaron Rodgers. You want a guy that is going to be like, no, this is stupid. Let's do this. And that's what you want. I mean, how many times did Ben do that at the end? Right? I mean, and they weren't going to like yell at Ben. Like, I think the last one to ever yell at Ben was what? Todd Haley?
Yeah. And he saw a lot of good that did him.
Yeah. So yeah, dude, you get a guy in like Rodgers with his reputation, with what he's done, his pedigree, he's gonna fucking push back on them, period. And that's really what's gonna save this shit from not being a complete shit show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I mean, this whole, and we kind of heard, Kenny Pickett chime in from the cheap seats here. You got Bradshaw piling on, hey, Aaron Rodgers, screw you. We got Kenny Pickett piling on the organization, basically hinting that Mike Tomlin doesn't know what he's doing. Wild out there take, I know, but he kind of said it. And he did present it in kind of a backhand compliment kind of way, but the insinuation was definitely there that, hey, Steelers don't know what they're doing on offense. I'm curious. Do you guys think that was more of a shot at Canada, or is it more of a shot at Tomlin?
You can get it, Trent.
The whole organization. He said top to bottom.
Yeah.
He said top to bottom, not just on Sundays. I mean, that's basically saying, in my opinion, the Sundays comment reverts back to Mike Tomlin. Like, you show up, you're the ultimate motivator, but, we have to figure out ways to make this thing work, Monday through Thursday as well. Can't just show up on Sunday and expect to win every day. I thought it was a total organizational backhanded slap. I mean, it was a weird comment to begin with, but there's still so many like Kenny Pickett apologists out there, and he kind of made his own bed. Like, he had an opportunity to be here and compete with Russell Wilson and win that job. And I mean, think about this. If he would have stayed, we saw Justin Fields play for 6 weeks, and he had open competition because Russ was hurt. He didn't even dress. Kenny Pickett could have had that same opportunity and taken it and ran with it and never given up the starting job. Instead, he didn't like competing. He moves on, and then he has this awkward backhanded slap at an organization, and now he's in a 12-man competition for quarterback in Cleveland. I mean, they're basically bringing out open tryouts like the freaking, the 1970s Eagles when Dick Vermeil took over. They're just bringing dudes off the streets to have open tryouts right now, quarterback. So it was awkward. I mean, it's a backhanded slap in the face. Bradshaw, he's a guy who supports Kenny Pickett. He still thinks Kenny was a franchise guy. So I don't know. It was kind of an awkward comment, but I do think he was attacking the entire organization top to bottom.
Look, he got traded like almost a year and a half ago, and he's still taking backhanded shots. I think he's just a douchebag. That's my take on him. I just, the shit he pulled, that shit he pulled during the later part of that season where Mason became the guy, the way he acted with all that. And then now, a year and a half later almost, you're still running your mouth. Maybe he's trying to make Cleveland people love him or something. I don't know. But he needs to get over it. But on the flip side of that, I don't know if I disagree with him either. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Eagles clearly are doing something right, and we are clearly doing something wrong. So, yeah, I don't, like I said, not a fan of him, but at the same time, yeah, I kind of think there is some truth in what he's saying. And I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
This isn't getting as much attention, but Darius Slay wasn't a backhanded compliment, but he mentioned that championship teams do the unusual things. So maybe that not so much a dig at the current or just the roster saying, hey, look, what I'm here to do is show you what you have to do to be a champion, which seems weird to say about the Steelers, but no current Steeler has won fuck all except for Darius Slay. So maybe he is a veteran guy who could maybe instill some, hey, because we seem to be patterning after Philadelphia. So, okay, let's go get a guy who won the Super Bowl with Philadelphia and have him teach these guys how to win.
Maybe. Or he's going to turn to Pat P and suck, and it's going to just not be anything. So I'm trying to hope that, I'm hoping that you're right, but I don't know, man. It seems like we always get these guys whenever it's over. So, and I used to not be that way, by the way. I used to be like, oh yeah, it's going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And Dave would get on my case. Like, dude, he's how old? No, this is not, and he would end up being right. So now I'm kind of in that same mode that like we get these older guys. I hope they still have it in them, but man, I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say that Kenny had thrown a fit to get himself traded for Justin Fields, basically, or thrown out of town so they could trade for Justin Fields. Let's say training camp happens, he goes to compete, Russell Wilson gets hurt. If Kenny is 4-2 in the first 6 games last year, do you think there's any way Tomlin benches him?
No.
First round pick.
First round pick, yeah. He's the franchise. Yeah.
Yep. There's
no way.
And he could have played just as bad as he did the 2 years prior and still kept his starting job. He could have played worse than Justin Fields and kept his job being 4-2, in my opinion.
I don't disagree. I think he's right.
I mean, technically, Justin Fields was a higher first-round pick, but I think his point that he was the Steelers' first-round pick.
Right. But he was basically a 6th-round trade.
Right.
In that scenario versus Kenny being our first-round pick. And I think this organization just hates to swallow that pill that they miss on the first round, despite the fact that we do it every damn year. I mean, we miss on the first-round pick every freaking year in the last, 10 years? Outside of TJ Watt was the last one we hit on.
Yeah.
So,
they
hate swallowing that pill.
Technically, I will give them Shazier in that 10-year window because without a career-ending injury, that's an all-pro-ish type of player.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So I'll say we're 2 for 10. I saw somebody arguing with me on X today. Oh, Bud Dupree wasn't a bust. Bullshit. Okay, I like Bud Dupree. I liked him as a Steeler, but he had one good year, and yes,
he cashed in on it too.
Yeah, and he did exactly what when he left the Steelers? Nothing. I mean, and then the whole idea of they also mentioned, well, Najee Harris isn't a bust. He has all these 1,000-yard seasons. The Chargers thought so much of Najee Harris that they paid him $5 million, which is basically about what Jalen Warren's getting. Guaranteed money. Forget about the 9. There's a lot of incentives there. They thought so much of him, they drafted his replacement almost immediately after signing.
Yeah, they did.
Well, we thought so much of him, we couldn't even pick up a 5th-year option, which, was what, $7 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in retrospect, I know some people thought that was a mistake. I think it's the best decision we ever made.
Oh.
Yeah, I really struggle with that one. I thought we should have picked it up, and I said that all year, but, I don't think we're going to miss a beat. We're probably going to get better with Caleb Johnson in this system.
Yeah, I like the thought of Caleb Johnson with Warren better, to be honest.
Going back to Bradshaw for a minute, because he was the quarterback when I was growing up in school, and 4 Super Bowls, and only Steeler to ever win the league MVP. Should they retire his number?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Chat, sound off. What do you guys think?
I'm surprised they haven't.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
was the literally biggest part of that dynasty. I mean, it's even back then, I know the quarterback position what it is today, but it's still. I mean, look at the Super Bowl winners; they're all great quarterbacks. They're all Hall of Famers. They're all guys that carried their teams at some point in time. And I think it's easy to say he was that guy.
And let's not forget, back then they could tear your fucking head off if they wanted to. Like that era was insane compared to nowadays, right? I mean,
Yeah.
to do what he did, knowing somebody's coming to kill you, basically, like, you want to talk about a tough son of a bitch, right? I mean, just incredible.
There was a lead in on Monday Night Football back in the day, and I remember writing an article about this. It was Lambert and Bradshaw were the opening. Actually, it wasn't Monday Night Football; it was an NBC game of the week. And Lambert got in a little, well, not in a ton of trouble back in the early '80s, but a little bit for saying, "Hey, why don't we just put dresses on them?" And then Bradshaw was out there saying, "Enough with the protecting the quarterbacks." And this is in the early '80s where you could still kill a guy, but they started throwing the flags a little more frequently than they did. And I think this was right after or right before Jim McMahon got injured or something around that time frame. But Bradshaw was a tough guy. Personally, Steelers only retired 3 numbers, and I get it. And Franco unfortunately passed right before the retirement. What did David Terry report to say here?
As soon as I saw it pop up, I couldn't help but laugh.
Personally, I don't think they're going to do it, although they probably should. And I think it's 1,000,000% about the fact that Bradshaw didn't go to the Chiefs' funeral. I know he's explained it. I know there's been forgiveness, and I don't think anybody begrudges him. But I think when it comes to retiring that number and Art makes the call, I think he still will hold it against him. Now, maybe the next Rooney, when he takes over, and hopefully Terry will still be alive, then maybe I see them.
Did Terry go to Noel's funeral?
No. And he said publicly he does not want to go to funerals. And truthfully, he had a lot more against Noel than he ever had.
Yeah. That's why I asked that question, because it was Noel that, was the issue.
Yeah. It's a sad situation. I mean, Pat Fryermuth is wearing Lynn Swan's number. I don't know that. I mean, the number personally I'd like to see retired, aside from Bradshaw, is Mel Blount. Mel Blount's number should be retired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there should be an argument over that.
It's called the fucking Mel Blount rule. I mean, he changed football. The only reason we have what we have is because Mel Blount beat the shit out of Drew Pearson in Super Bowl 10. That's why we have the style of football we have today. If he doesn't do that, then guess what? Cornerbacks can probably still mug receivers at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. I just don't see how, again, Bradshaw has 4 of the Lombardis in that hallway that everybody loves to talk about.
Yep.
How's he not? How is he not got that retired number yet?
Right.
And Blount would be the next guy on the list, absolutely, because again, like you said, anybody who's going to create a new rule for the NFL because of his play style and how dominant he was, I mean, why would you not want to retire that number? And even looking at the number itself, how many people wear that number anyway?
Those 70s teams were so incredible, guys. I get very liberal with wanting to retire their jerseys. That's my problem. A lot of those guys contributed and were amazing, and that's my problem. But if I did that, then there wouldn't be as many jerseys to hand out, I guess. But yeah, no, I absolutely, Bradshaw's jersey should be retired.
I mean, Jack Ham, Jack Lambert, Mel Blount. Very few. I mean, Stallworth, you can make the argument for. You can make an argument for Hines. Palomalu. I just don't know that they'll do it.
That's another debate for the more recent ones. Yeah, I mean,
you really start thinking about it. You start retiring these numbers. All of a sudden, you retire 10, 12, 15. You got 18 Hall of Famers. So you start retiring all the numbers. I mean, what the hell are people going to wear?
Hines, I'm out on Hines. He was a great player. He was great for this organization. Is he an all-time guy where you should be retiring his number in the rafters, so to speak? I mean, it's not literal rafters like basketball, but you know what I'm saying? Troy, he was another inventive guy that kind of changed the game, and nobody's done what he's was able to do then, they still can do it now. I mean, literally, there's one player that I can even remember being compared to Troy Polamalu, and it's Caleb Downs right now. And that's not an Ohio State thing. I mean, he literally is being, you listen to these guys on Saturdays talk about football. He's the only guy even being talked about in that same light.
Yeah, you
Like,
don't hear many people compared to him. So that's a good
No.
point. Like a guy that was an amazing Steeler, but also was one of the top guys in a bunch of categories that, was unique, a unicorn or whatever. Yeah, I could understand that.
Yeah.
Lead mad. Dupree wasn't a bust! Exclamation.
Yeah, he had one good year. And
Yeah.
and then he went to Tennessee and he did what exactly?
He was a great backup.
Yeah.
Solid backup.
And the only thing I'll say about Hines,
Jesus Christ.
Sebastian Castro.
Zach thinks to Sebastian Castro is the next Polamalu.
Smitty's just here to fuck shit up.
Yeah. He's on fire.
The only thing I'll say about Hines, Super Bowl MVP, another guy who changed the rules. I mean, they made that crackback block.
Yeah.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Super Bowl MVP, top 20 in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. That guy, he should be a Hall of Famer. He's got all the Steelers receiving records. AB probably would have caught him if he didn't go nuts. But bottom line is he didn't catch him. So, yeah, to me, I mean, they don't retire numbers anyway, but if I'm just throwing him in the conversation, you got to figure Swan, Stallworth, Ward, they're probably never going to retire a receiver's number. I think you got to seriously consider it when you start talking about a guy like Polamalu.
Well, if we're going back to the 2000s, is your top three then like Ben? Then you go with Polamalu, then Ward? I mean, is that your top three? That if you had to put a top three?
It's an interesting case if you throw Ben into the retire and number mix. Does Ben have a better chance of having his number retired than Bradshaw?
I don't know. Trent seems to say no.
I mean, I wouldn't go in retiring numbers. I wouldn't go that far. Do I think he was the better quarterback? Yeah, but did he mean as much to the organization because of the Lombardies? Like, I can't say that.
What about your top three then, Trent? What would be your top three
from the 2000s?
Yeah, from the 2000s. That group that won 2 Super Bowls and appeared in 3.
Troy is above and beyond one for me. I think you've probably got to put. I mean, I think you'd put AB above AB above Hines Ward.
Wasn't there for the Super Bowl
to retire?
That's 7 years. Jersey? That 7 year span. He is a top 3 receiver in NFL history.
Yeah, but to retire his jersey though, bro. After what he did and said, there's no way in hell.
I think that's the thing. You're gonna probably throw it out the window with that. But I think if you're just looking at the players themselves and quit holding grudges against the whole organization. I hate the like petty stuff. Like, I don't like the holding grudges. I mean, what did he do for your organization? And to be honest, for the most part, outside of that last year, he was in check. He was locked in. He was the first guy in the building. He was the hardest working guy in the building. And he put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the organization for a long time. So, like, the ending sucked. The ending really sucked. Of course, like, it really sucked. But, like, that dude was a stud. And I think I'd put Marquise Pouncey on that list, honestly. I mean, have we seen many better players in the organization than Marquise Pouncey? I mean, there's 3 centers in this list that go back a long, long way, and he was one of them.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good one. I just back to Brown. I mean, some of the things he said were. I mean, you talk about the stuff with Bradshaw. I thought this was even worse. Like, I mean, the comments he made about Ben. I don't know.
Yeah.
Come back to planet Earth was a stretch.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say about AB. Rooted for him while he was here. Like, I'm terribly disappointed about how it ended. He did quit on the team. He did get all bent out of shape because Juju outshined him or whatever. But bottom line is, they didn't win anything. with Antonio Brown. They also didn't win anything with Pouncey. And I like Pouncey. I really, over the last decade, he's probably one of my favorite guys. But there's a lot of these guys that people are mentioning as all-time great Steelers who didn't win anything. Cam didn't win anything. Wouldn't even be on my all-time starting defensive line. Well, maybe in the 4-3 he'd be as the other defensive tackle. But I'm sorry. If you did, prerequisite for Steeler greatness is you got to get a ring. And if you don't get a ring, or at least get to the playoffs and win some games, I'm sorry, but I'm automatically out on you as an all-time great.
What about James Harrison? I'm not saying I would do it. I'm just saying in general, do you think he's someone or no?
I can't see his number being retired. He is a guy I think should be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed. I totally agree with that.
Because when he left and went to the Patriots, I threw his jersey in the garbage. Like, I was pissed. But I don't know. I mean, he won rings with them. So, like, it's another one.
I think this is probably a larger topic for a different day, but like the whole Killer Bees didn't win anything thing. Is that really their fault, or is it Colbert's fault for not putting a defense on the team around him? They had no defense. I mean, they were god awful those years. That defense was terrible. And it felt like the Killer Bees had to put up 35 points a game just to freaking win.
Yeah.
I mean, should we start looking at that as maybe it wasn't the offense?
And this is with the defensive guru Tomlin, the head coach. Like, that's a whole, Jesus, that is a whole nother subject. Good Lord.
Yeah, we definitely have to do that another day and talk about the Killer Bees because, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, love rooting for them. Won me some fantasy championships, as a matter of fact. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, to me, you still got to be, is objectively Antonio Brown a better receiver than, just pure receiver than a Hines Ward or a John Stallworth or a Lynn Swann? Yeah, you can kind of make the argument. Personally, I'd rather have Stallworth and Ward as my two receivers because I got guys who can block and who can beat a defense. No problem.
There's damn blocking receivers, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Guys, what do you think of this one here from Showerkern? I'm sorry, unless the player died on the field while playing a game, jerseys should never be retired.
I say to him, Mean Joe Green.
Yeah.
That's aggressive.
Yeah. And, the real bizarre thing is I've read a lot about Ernie Stautner. I never watched him play. I'm not quite that old. Why him? And I know, there's all kinds of, but I mean, he played on some really lousy teams. And yes, he was great. And I guess he was the face of the franchise. But, if you're going to go back in the day, I mean, you had,
Wait,
Bobby
you're
Lane.
against Mean Joe Green?
No. I'm asking why Ernie Stautner. I mean,
okay.
He was the first number retired, and he was the only number retired for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Joe Green they put with Ernie Stautner. And those are the two guys. And then you added Franco, which was way long overdue. Franco, to me, is one of the most important players in Steelers history. That's why I don't understand. What do you have to do? Immaculate reception, Joe Green. I don't know what Ernie Stautner did. And again, I'm not disparaging him. I just never watched him play.
Could this team just be spoiled by so many great players over such a span throughout the 70s that they just don't know who to retire? And the standard is so high that it's like nearly impossible to get your number retired. I mean, that kind of feels like where they're at.
They just don't want to have you start this trend and then it's just a downward spiral of how many people now have to have their jersey retired. So it could be that.
Our backup quarterbacks wear number 33,
Yeah. And in fairness, there are numbers they've unofficially retired. Like, nobody's wearing 12. Nobody's wearing 1 because Gary Anderson wore 1. I mean, Pickens wanted to wear 1, and they're like, no, that's the kicker. So I know they have unofficial, but they've given out Stallworth's number multiple times. They've given out Swan's number. I've seen guys wear 58 and 59 in the preseason. I don't think anybody's worn it in the regular season.
That's the whole point, though. Then just retire it if you're not going to let people wear it. That's my point. Like,
so I guess my whole Rodgers walks out with Bradshaw, and Bradshaw says, "We're a 12, kid." That's not happening. So, all All right.
Maybe that's why he's outraged. He don't want him wearing his number.
All right. Well, we could talk Steelers history all day. Let's shift to the present. OTAs. I know we've all in chat talked about how Roman Wilson is now officially a Hall of Famer after a couple of practices in shorts.
You might as well retire that jersey today.
Yeah, exactly. I guess. And damn it, he's wearing San Antonio Holmes' number and Cordell Stewart. So I'm hearing Will Howard is doing well. I hear he didn't do so well today. What do you guys think about this Roman Wilson hype?
Trent, go ahead. If you got, well, good.
Put the pads on. This is Calvin Austin the third all over again. The hype was out of control the entire time they were in shorts and a t-shirt. And as soon as the pads went on, the hype came down to reality. And I feel like Roman Wilson right now, I need to see the pads on because these small receivers, this is exactly tailored to their strengths, their speed, their quickness. You can't really get hands on them because they're too small to really, jam them at the line of scrimmage. Even if, I know they're not like going live yet, but like even once they do get into camp, you can't really jam these guys. They're too small. Like, Joey Porter Jr.'s hands are 3 times the size of these guys' shoulders. Like, like he's going to miss. So like it's tailored for these guys that are quick, shifty guys to win right now. I need to see it when the pads come on for him. And the talk about him being a Z receiver for me is insane. He's never done it ever. Not even in high school. He was not a Z receiver in high school. Like, guys, calm down. Let's see if he can play the position. He's going to have a lot to learn. And, maybe he's going to be great. We don't know. Maybe he is the next guy who can step in and be a smaller receiver like AB was or Deontay was. But let's not start crowning him just yet, just because it's OTAs and we've got nothing better to talk about.
Yeah,
Adam, just real quick, David, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
See, Adam wants to retire Deontay Johnson's number.
No, it's probably for Will. It's probably for Will Howard.
There you go.
Will Howard's already going to the Hall of Fame.
There you go. A+ draft pick. Anyways, yeah, like I think people are they're just wanting to believe that this guy's going to be good. But guys, like I decided to go back and look at his college stats, and like I came away really unimpressed. He played 15 games his last year and only had like 700 something yards. And then before that, it was only like 300 or 400. Not a lot of touchdowns until his last season there. Then he had 12. But like I was looking at all those third round picks along with him, Malachi Corley, another like McCaffrey, and there was a bunch, McMillan. All these guys had like 1,000 to 2,000 yard seasons. They had a lot more production than he did. When I looked at this, I was like, wow, this is not impressive. So there's a reason why he was a third round pick. So I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, they showed one pass from Hall of Famer Will Howard to him, and it was a very easy throw for Howard, no problem. But like they made out like it was this amazing catch by Roman Wilson, and I'm just like, dude, it was nothing. Like people were just blowing us up for no fucking reason. I don't know why. It's just stupid. But that's why I made the tweet that, oh my God, the Steelers look at him as the replacement for George Pickens. And I'm not saying that I think that's good. I'm just saying that maybe that's what they think. That's why they didn't draft. That's why they didn't draft one in this draft, even though Golden was sitting right there, even though I love the Harmon pick, don't get me wrong. But this just explains some things for me, maybe. And with them, it makes sense.
I mean, I think Zach's got a good point here about baking the Michigan offense into it. I mean, Harbaugh's offense was run right, run left, run up the middle, run right, run
true.
left.
That is true.
And then every once in a while, uncork a deep pass to Roman Wilson. I also think it's an indictment on J.J. McCarthy, which is one of the reasons I don't like him. But that being said, I think Trent's got a good point. You're asking this guy to play outside. He's not the number 2 receiver. If he's your number 2 receiver, you got a real problem. I think it's more likely Calvin Austin could be the outside receiver, who I don't love in that position either.
I agree.
Than it is Roman Wilson. So but then again, when they put the pads on, Roman Wilson is bigger than Calvin Austin, which is not saying much, but on the height chart, if you're going, smallest to tallest, right next to Calvin Austin, but he's on the slightly taller side.
I think Austin's a better outside receiver. He did it in college, and he's a better route runner right now. I mean, the other thing is Roman Wilson's route tree is very, very limited. It was limited in college. That's why all of his highlights are just the same route over and over. It's a crosser, or it's him going deep down the seam, and that's pretty much his entire highlight reel. Like, he's very limited. He basically ran 3 routes in college. That was it. Like, they got to start it. They start him in motion because he's not going to beat press coverage. That gets him away from the press coverage. They snap the ball. He goes around the same 3 routes. I mean, that was it. Great, dude. You got a long way to develop to be a number 2 receiver in the NFL. So, like, I just don't think that's not happening this year. There's no way that's happening this year. And if it is, we're in a world of hurt.
Yeah, agreed.
Robert Woods blew out both of his 75-year-old knees. That's how that happens.
Well, the interesting question to me is, how when it becomes June 1st, even if Aaron hasn't signed and he's taking his time still, if they announce the Allen Lazard trade before Aaron Rodgers is officially announced, I think at that point you have to figure it's 100% likely he's coming.
Yeah.
And there's no question he's the wide receiver too. Not that he's great, but he's better than everything else.
I thought the talk right now is that Roman Wilson will get bumped outside, right?
I think that's what they want. Honestly, I think the organization, you're 100% right when you said that earlier. I think they want him to be the outside receiver.
Yeah.
I just don't see how he's going to learn and adapt to that right now.
Just Vaughn just announced Jordy Nelson.
I think if Jordy Nelson could get off the couch and play, he would do it.
No doubt.
Jordy Nelson has fewer ACLs than Peyton Wilson does right now.
That's I mean, I don't get what they're doing at receiver. I don't know what the vision of the offense is, other than, if it's okay, we want Roman Wilson on the outside and he's only going to run streaks and we're going to throw him the ball every 3 games. That would kind of be like the Arthur Smith thing. If all of a sudden we're going to include tight ends and we're going to throw the ball to DK, that's kind of the Tennessee offense, assuming Caleb Johnson and Jalen Warren can approximate a Derrick Henry year together.
Yeah. I don't know. I would when you hear they're focusing on trying to get Jonnu Smith instead of another wide receiver, I shake my head. I really do. Not when we've already got Freiermuth. That's it. It just doesn't make sense.
Pat's bumping out to wide receiver too.
Now, didn't they say, and we're about to get on to Broderick Jones, but didn't they say that Washington is slimmed down and seems a little – I thought I saw something from Caboli or one of them that he also is slimmed down a little more, and he looks quicker out there too.
Yeah. Slimmed down from 315?
I'm just saying what
he had to weigh slight. Was he 304? He's 1 pound less than our left tackle.
Don't kill the messenger, Trent. I am just saying what those guys are saying. Okay, man. Don't bring up people losing weight to Trent. He got no time for that shit today. I'll tell you.
Big fun. I tend to agree with you. If AB walked on the field right now, I even suggested it toward the end of last year. Do you make a call? Do you say, "Hey, AB, are you willing?" He'd probably be willing, but
you said to AB.
AB would probably. He's not even 35 years old.
Yeah, you just untime from his straitjacket, and then he's good to go. He's ready. Like,
I still be better than what we got.
No, I am not saying he isn't. Yes, I know. Okay, he's just fucking crazy. All right, that's the problem. If he could just not be, put him on whatever medication he needs, and then send him out there. Fine with me. Okay.
I don't know why we don't just sign Amari Cooper. He's the only outside receiver and left We're not trading for anybody at this point. Like, just sign Amari Cooper and be done with it. At least the guy knows how to run an outside receiver.
I was about to say why not Keenan Allen, but you're right. He's a slot guy. I forgot. So yeah. I mean, that's it.
I feel like it's gonna be Lazard, and it'll be a package deal. Aaron will sign, Lazard will come, and then they'll be like, okay. And now Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin can battle out for the slot. And I've heard Kaboli talking about maybe they'll do an extension for Calvin Austin. What the fuck for? I mean, unless you suddenly think he's going to be some transformational punt returner.
Yeah.
So let's talk about my man Broderick. We promised Relic would get to him. Personally, I mean, the highlight of him in shorts and a shirt and him on the left side, boy, he sure looked great. I love seeing him on the left side. Beyond that, it's an offensive lineman in OTAs. I don't even know why they go.
Looks great blocking the shit out of that pad, though.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy standing there is just holding it and not moving, but he looks great.
Look, next year we need to start doing OTA awards. Like, pick offensive player of OTAs, defensive player of OTAs. Since apparently this is some big shit going down right now for all of Pittsburgh media. Ugh.
I think okay, Metcalf has to worry about will he have a job. The only thing I really like the fact is day one, everybody's healthy, get out on the field. Broderick is at where he belongs at left tackle. Okay, so it looks like they're gonna do the plan of Broderick and Fatanu and left and right tackle. Okay, great. Because beyond that, I don't know what the fuck the plan would be, because I don't know who you're getting to play right tackle if somehow you have emergency move Fatanu to the left side.
I'm actually excited about Fatanu on the right side, or just having him in general, and he's healthy. To be honest, I'm more excited about that than I am fucking Broderick Jones. So I'm hoping. Oh, we lost Trent.
We complimented Broderick, and Trent took off.
But I don't know. I'm more excited about having Fatanu here. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because in small sample size he looked great. And in theory, with them moving Jones to left side where he's comfortable, it should all do a lot better and work out. Hopefully it'll work out. So
I see Darth has a request. It will be a short fucking show, I'll tell you that. Once a month, we need to do a show where you talk only about the positive. and our man Vaughn chimed right in. It's not like we don't love the team. We just want things to change.
Well, no, here's the thing. If we tried to do a pod where it's all positives, the show would last about 10 minutes. There's not that many positives to talk about here. Let's be honest. Like, how many positives there to talk about?
Hey, if you were watching last year at 10-3, we were all fucking positive. We were talking about home field advantage.
That's true. We were happy at that point.
Happened.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking Wilson extension and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But
almost all of us. Somebody hated the
This is true.
But he's not here tonight, so we can't hashtag that.
Yeah. But Trent, you okay, buddy?
Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. I just got booted for a second and I came right back. We're good.
We said something nice about someone on the line, and you were like, that's it, I'm out.
I'd had enough. That's fucking bullshit. We're not saying nice stuff today. Okay. Out the door. Can't handle it. I'm out. I mean, here we go. I mean, Cameron Johnston. I mean, if you want to talk about some positives, Cameron Johnston coming back from injury. We got an all-star punter. We're going to put him in the Hall of Fame next.
There you go.
There we go.
I do think, by the way, if they're both healthy, yeah, Cameron wins the job outright, no problem. But again, that's no slide on Corliss Waitman. He had a decent year for us. I think he had one really what the fuck punt, but that's going to happen to anybody. So yeah, Johnston's an all-pro level punter. He'll get a job. Corliss will get a job in the NFL, and he deserves one. So I don't think in a fair competition, if they're both equally healthy, I don't think there's any way in the world he's as good as Cameron Johnston.
Yeah.
Vaughn put on the night Dave is out, you get caught out for negativity. Can't make it up.
I know, right? I guess we had to make up for it. But Dave's not here, so we had to get we had to get some hate in there.
You have to embrace the darkness, especially when Dave's not here.
Look, I don't care if Skylar Thompson is the fucking quarterback. I'll talk myself into us somehow winning every week, even if it doesn't happen. Doesn't mean I won't expect to win every game.
Right. I somehow I still see us going 9-8 with no matter who's the quarterback. And that's just how I look at this. I honestly, we're gonna go 9-8, get our ass kicked in the playoffs, and call it a year. That's
very possible. We got 6 weeks of pretty friendly games, honestly, to start the season. So, like,
right,
you win 5 of those, you could trip your way right into a 9-8 season.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, when we did our picks together, way too early picks, but we were thinking 6-0. Oh, look who's winning.
Look who's coming in to close. Look
Aaron,
at this.
You guys asked for some hate, and we bring you
I heard this podcast was way too positive. I had to jump on. What the fuck's going on here? I'm gone for one day. It's rainbows and unicorns over here. What the fuck's going on with you guys?
We're giving my
catch me up. What did I miss?
Dad, I'm sorry. We were bad while you were gone.
Holy shit.
Darth
decided
Sniper
Roman
was
Wilson is a Hall of Famer.
not happy with us for being so negative, I think.
Oh, God. Has he not listened to the podcast the last
2 years?
3 years? Jesus Christ.
Oh, he said it wasn't a call out. Here he is. He said it wasn't a call out, just a slight tease. Well, look what you did.
You provoked the demon. Here he comes.
You brought the Sith Lord out of his hiding.
Palpatine has arrived.
Yes.
All right. So Dave,
very good.
Our big question, weigh in. Whose number gets retired first? Terry Bradshaw's or Ben's?
Oh, Ben. Easy. I think I put it in the chat. The Roonies hate Bradshaw for all that shit when they went through back in the day. They don't like Terry Bradshaw. Ben's is first. Do you think Terry's gets retired first?
We think it should be retired, but as far as it getting retired before Ben's, we didn't really discuss that. I don't think we did.
Yeah, I don't ever see that happening. I mean, I'd be shocked.
First,
I don't know if it ever does. Terry Bradshaw said too much negative stuff about the Steelers. They're holding a grudge for sure.
Maybe we really should book him on the podcast.
Terry?
I think Vaughn said it earlier.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I would love that.
He'd be.
Podcast. You kidding me?
Oh my God, it'd be a lot of fun. Do you think that all this stuff about the Steelers getting another weapon is driven from Aaron Rodgers saying, "Listen, I'm not coming here unless you get more weapons"? I have a feeling that's some of this is driven by that.
Ooh.
And they went right out and went.
It's a tight end.
And it's
well, I mean, they said, "Okay, another weapon, tight end," and he's like, "I'm not coming." But beside that, I mean,
he just fucking postponed this until at least week 1 of the preseason on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
That's it. I ain't coming to camp. No mandatory mini camp. Fuck it. Week 1 of the preseason is down the deadline.
Could you imagine if that?
Do better.
How about Jonnu Smith? Like. Bro,
we're so fucked in this team. I'm telling you, we're going to be a shitty offense for the rest of our. I'm going to be in my 80s before there's a good offense in this team.
I feel like we're like the Pawn Stars of the NFL. We're like, don't give me a fucking weapon. Best I can do is a 30-year-old tight end, dude. I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Okay.
That's awesome. I said I wanted. Go ahead.
Can I interest you in Allen Robinson?
Jesus. No, you cannot. I remember I brought up Jonnu Smith earlier in the thing. I thought he was a free agent that they might sign, but his contract's at least 1 more year, right? But he wants more. And he wants to be extended. I mean, Arthur Smith's worked with him a couple times, so sort of makes sense. I looked up he ran a 4.62 40. It's not like they're adding speed. He's more dynamic than Muth, but I don't know.
Good year in his whole career.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is an upgrade. Jonnu Smith is an upgrade to the offense, whether we like it or not.
Over Muth.
It's
just to the overall skill position thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's better than Muth. I guess he is a little bit, maybe. Do you think he's better than Muth? I don't think so.
The only year he was ever better than Muth was last year.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And that's with Miami and all those weapons and the coach.
Yeah.
And all that, you know?
Right.
I'm not turning down offensive weapons. Tight end, fullback. I don't care. But
you bring him here, he could morph into a pumpkin and not do anything with this offense.
He absolutely could.
Or they're just going to ask him to block, which he's not good at. So,
did you see my post about their blocking grades on PFF?
Yeah.
Him and Muth. One was 40.5, the other was 41.5. It's like, holy
Jesus.
shit. That's run blocking, not overall blocking. But
yeah, it's
still.
Well, we sure as hell don't want him pass blocking.
I think actually they were both better. In their pass blocking grades.
Wait, is Aaron and Jonnu Smith friends?
I have no idea.
They've never played together.
Have they ever been around each other?
I don't know. Just throwing it out there.
But I mean, they could be. It's better than. I mean, and I'm sure you guys talk about this Roman Wilson nonsense. I mean, people are out of their fucking minds about Roman Wilson. Look at how good he's running in shorts. Look at those catches he's making. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
settle
down.
down.
They're not hard catches. I don't know why.
Settle down.
Yeah,
I can't even. You know why? We're so desperate for any glimmer of hope at the wide receiver position
that's literally what I said earlier. I
started clinging to him.
Yep.
But I hope he does well. I hope he does. I mean, we have to keep in mind he's a third-round pick. He's a late third-round pick. Temper the expectations.
Oh, Dave, when you were here, I went through the other third-round wide receivers compared to him, and his production was not great compared to theirs. But then Zach
no production
in chat brought up that because of that offense, it's probably why. So take it for what you will.
The Michigan offense you're talking about? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were the other wide receivers? Off the top of your head? I can't remember.
Malachi Corley, McMillan, McCaffrey.
Oh, God.
There was like two more, and all of them at least had 1,000-yard season receiving.
In college?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he can block.
His highest projection was 7-something, and it took 15 games.
Again, that's a little bit of Harbaugh offense in Michigan. I mean, They didn't let J.J. McCarthy throw one game, right? Was it Ohio State or another? He barely threw the ball.
Michigan? No, Penn State. It was Penn State.
Yeah, it was Penn State.
He didn't throw the entire second half.
The second half, they ran the ball every down. So
crazy.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be
fits the Mike Tomlin game plan.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Don't throw the ball the whole second half. Fuck it.
That's why they drafted him now. Now it makes sense.
We're up 3-0. This son of a bitch can block for an entire half. We're good.
This dude was raised for this offense.
The other thing I tweeted today was, all right, you got all these fucking tight ends, but you don't even throw over the middle. So what good is having tight ends? If that's the whole purpose of having a tight end is running routes in the middle of the field. I looked up Jonnu Smith's stats. I think 75% of his catches were down the middle this year. What's he going to do if he comes to Pittsburgh?
Dave, if you don't think about it, it makes sense.
Well, if Aaron Rodgers is there, then
it does make a difference. It does. We hope, unless they put mind control drugs on him too, and he ends up throwing screens and deep outs, and that's it.
I can't. I mean, he hasn't done that his whole career. I can't imagine he would do it this time.
Yeah.
And not that he's never been like a big tight end guy, but I think Bubba Franks was the last tight end to really have chemistry with him.
Jesus Christ.
And
everybody keeps reminding me, Mason Rudolph threw over the middle. Those 2.5 games he played, he threw over the middle. So there's hope there,
Yeah. 18 completions. He had 4 of them over the middle.
I think we need to have a lesson. We need to show highlights of the killer bees to remind Steelers fans what offense really was.
Jen off the top rope.
They've forgotten.
Well, we've decided that's got to be another episode where we talk about how the Killer Bees didn't win shit.
I have a soft spot in my heart for that whole team. I know they didn't win anything. I know they blew it. There was a lot of injuries too, but at least that was exciting football. I mean,
Yeah,
I looked forward to watching every game.
it was exciting. You're right. It was entertaining.
100%.
It was fun to watch. I agree.
Le'Veon, Martavis, AB, Big Ben. That was fun. I mean, listen, I'm like you, Bob. I'm a 70s guy. Defense, run the ball, 90s, same thing. Then they gave us a taste of what real, like, modern offense was, and it was like, damn, I like that. And they took it away from us, and they refused to give it back now. It's like, what are you doing to us? I mean,
Well, if you remember, Super Bowl 13 and 14, that was Bradshaw MVPs, 35-31 against the Cowboys.
yeah, that was that makes this offense look like the 20s.
Still, maybe the greatest pass in Super Bowl history was fourth quarter down 19-17. If you haven't seen it, watch it on YouTube. Bradshaw hit Stallworth on a 70-yard bomb that won the game. It took the lead 24-19. I remember watching it and screaming because I was scared to death we were going to lose to the fucking Rams.
Is that the one where Stallworth was like levitating into the air?
That offense made this offense look like
It looked like he was up there
bent
forever.
all the way back and looked up, and then boom, the ball was right there. Perfect.
I got to say something to Vaughn here. Have you not heard of TJ Watt and Cam Hayward? I mean, do those things slip your mind? Couldn't draft defense. Get out of here, Vaughn. Anyway, I'm fired up.
We see that. We see that.
Dave heard everything we were talking about and said, I got to get in on it.
Lord.
So we got a lot of big things coming up on the podcast. We're hoping to announce some really big stuff next week. We really thank you guys for watching the chat. Awesome as usual. Thanks to Dave for jumping on late. Trent, David, we're really good. Please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. But please hit that like button. Turn on your notifications, and we'll be back on Monday. Guys, anything else you want to mention?
No.
Nope. Bring me all the tight ends. All of them. All of them.
How many tight ends will be on the roster on Monday? Find out on the
Stay tuned. Bring Gronk out of retirement. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's go. All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Well, he's not weird or anything, is he?
No, he's totally normal.
I think you should be working at the snack bar.
You better relax, Bob.
I mean, normal for us.
All right, let's go. Now you've had enough.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Okay, crazy guy. I'm gonna go home now.